Do you remember the opening scene in The Lion King? The music builds, the sun rises, animals move toward Pride Rock, the center stage, and baby Simba is lifted up into the light. The Lion King is not just a children's movie. There are life principles worth looking at for us, the adults, too. That moment is a leadership ceremony. And whether you realize it or not, if you're married, if you have children, or if you run a business, you've already had that moment too. Not with grand music, not with anyone bowing, but it was the day that you became responsible for something bigger than yourself. Your spouse, your family, your business, your home ownership, your future. You are the Simba in your story. That's not a question. The question is, how are you showing up? Are you avoiding responsibility like Simba did in the jungle, or are you more like Simba on Pride Rock? Everything that touches the light. There's a quiet moment in The Lion King when Mufasa sits with Simba. The sun's going down and everything is cast in its rays. And Mufasa says, "Everything the light touches is our kingdom." He's not just showing Simba the land. He's not pointing out borders or boasting about what he owns. He's teaching Simba about responsibility. You know that feeling. Because everything the light touches in your world is your responsibility. You are the steward. Your spouse, your children, your accounts, your business, your momentum. They all fall under your stewardship. You're already the leader. And like Simba, you are the hero of your story. Have you taken the time to build structure around what you lead? Leadership without structure is fragile. It can fall apart the second that your world doubts your resolve. It's very easy to have a moment of indecision. But when you have a plan, when you have structure, you may not know what comes next, but you know what to do next. When you lead, it's easy to focus on growth, or focus on income, or focus on building. But what about infrastructure? That all too often gets postponed. You tell yourself, I'll handle it when things are bigger. It's not time for that yet. But structure is not something you install after your success. Structure is what allows your success to scale. When you run a business without structure, sure, you can make it for a little while. But what happens when an emergency arises? When you need to act and you don't know what to do? Or you make a mistake and you have to own up to it? I've watched a lot of good people make bad decisions to cover up mistakes, when had they had structure to fall back on, they would not compound one bad decision with another. If you disappeared for 6 months, would your system hold? What about your relationships, your family, your business? Sure, things might be different without you. I'm not saying it wouldn't be. But have you set up things to run as if you were not there? To protect the people that you love if you can't do it yourself? Or would everything slow down and enter into confusion? I'm not talking about living in fear or being afraid of tomorrow. I'm talking about design. Estate planning is that design. It's what Mufasa was trying to teach Simba. He had an amazing system. The animal kingdom looked to him for protection, for leadership, for guidance. But Mufasa didn't just become king and then decide to build the system. He built the system and then stepped into his kingship. Likewise, a trust is not a trophy for the wealthy. It's not a participation award. A trust is a container for leadership. It embodies the system from which wise stewardship flows. Remember, you are already Simba. This life is your story. The crown exists, the kingdom exists, the responsibility exists. Leadership is not about waiting for your turn. It's about building systems that protect what the light already touches when it's your time to rule. Hakuna Matata is a trap. Who doesn't like the Hakuna Matata scene in The Lion King? It feels good just to say it. Hakuna Matata. No worries, no pressure, no heavy decisions. But you do not build to live small. You don't form relationships for them to dwindle. You don't create companies simply to watch them die. You start out in life to be victorious, to be the hero in your story. You want to love large, live large, and bless the lives of those around you. Yet for some reason, you tell yourself, I'm not rich enough for a trust. I'm still building. I have time to do that later. That is a very Simba in the jungle kind of thinking. That's thinking small. And all too often, we don't see it for what it is. We choose comfort today and put off complexity for tomorrow. Hakuna Matata. Our avoidance can be subtle to ourselves. It sounds responsible. It sounds patient. But avoidance is usually fear disguised as timing. Here's the truth. Estate planning feels daunting. It feels complex. It feels like a mantle we're not ready to wear. It feels like you're forced to face your reflection in the water and you're not ready to see what's staring back at you. We've been taught that estate planning is when you die, and we have to prepare for that end. Wrong! Estate planning is about organizing the middle. It's about the tens of thousands of days that you live before the end. Sure, we'll be ready for when the end comes, but let's focus on the living part. When your structure is clear, when you have a proper estate plan in place, you allow yourself to invest differently. You allow yourself to grow differently. You allow yourself to sleep differently, to sleep in peace, because clarity invites in the calm, and that calm gives you the perspective to be a better leader. I'm not saying Hakuna Matata is evil. There are days when we just have to shout it into the jungle and roll with the punches, but it is incomplete. You don't work as hard as you do to shrug everything off. You were not built to be like Jungle Simba all the time. You work hard because you have people who depend on you, people that you love, that are in your stewardship. You were built to lead. Why not have all the tools available to do it well? Scar sold you a lie. Let's talk about good old Uncle Scar. You know, Scar never wins with strength. He wins with distortion, with inactivity. We all have a scar in our lives. Someone waiting around to take from you what's rightfully yours to claim. Remember, if you don't have a plan for your life, someone else is enacting their plan for your life. Who wants that? We know the distortions when it comes to estate planning. Trusts are only for the rich. Just get a simple will. You don't need that yet. It's too soon. Let's slow that distortion roll down a little bit. Consider this. A will is a document. There is an entire system called probate that happens to your family when that document is applied. A trust is a system. It takes control. It avoids probate. And it puts your loved ones in the driver's seat of your own vehicle. A will requires court involvement. A properly designed trust is structured to avoid probate, to avoid government intervention. Trusts may involve wealth, but they are not about wealth. They are about control. Someone has to drive the car. Do you want to hand the wheel over to your loved ones when the time comes, or to Scar? Remember, the wealthy don't use trusts because they're rich. They're rich because they built the system first and continue to use the system to stay wealthy and increase their holdings. Leaders build systems, reactors write documents. Which one are you becoming? Remember, you do not install a trust because you're afraid. You install it because you're building something worth protecting. Return to Pride Rock. Let's talk about Pride Rock. When Simba returns to the land of his inheritance, the land is dry. The absence of leadership has created disorder. But the moment he steps back into responsibility, the moment he picks up the mantle of his father, the system that Mufasa built, everything begins to be restored. You think estate planning is about someday. It's not. It's about today and all of your tomorrows. When structure exists, your family avoids unnecessary court processes. Your wishes are coordinated, your assets are protected and move efficiently, and you lead with confidence. You're in a position to do the next right thing. And most importantly, you stop carrying the weight of your quiet uncertainty. Peace comes from structure. Preparation is power. This is not about downloading documents. It's about freedom. And I'm here to guide you towards it. This is the part that most people miss. The Lion King was never a movie about Simba growing up. It was about him remembering who he already was and utilizing the system that his father built for him to be successful. You are already the leader of your story. There's no avoiding it. You are already the responsible party. The only shift is this. We go from avoiding structure to installing it. You can pay a little now to invest in your future and save your family big time later, or you can save money now and make your family pay huge later. Which sounds better to you? This is what leaders do. You don't need to feel wealthy to start. You need to feel ready to lead. And that decision changes how you live. Not someday, but today. If you feel that internal shift happening right now inside of you, that quiet realization that it's time, it is. That's why I offer a free 20-minute Zoom or phone call to teach you about the possibilities of how you can plan for yourself, your family, and your future. There's no pressure, just clarity. Because leadership is not about fear. It's about stepping onto Pride Rock with confidence when it's time. It's your life, it's your story. Make it a good one. Do you enjoy these videos? Hit that subscribe button and share this with your friends and family. They'll thank you for it. This has been another Estate Planning Minute with Michael Glassford. Thank you for all your likes, comments, and shares. It means a lot to me. And for more information, visit legallifeplan.com.